The Earthbound Fan Direct has just happened as of the other day, but even if you're not too invested in Earthbound, there's a lot to love here that was announced. Not only are there a bunch of fan projects from other games as you'd expect, there's also several full-scale Steam releases for indie RPGs that are inspired by Earthbound, one of which had a setting so original and out there that I couldn't help but get excited for it. Real quick, before we begin, there's some other stuff in this direct that was announced I won't touch on, as I really just want to cover the games and mods themselves. There's some really cool music-related projects, a book about Iwata. I urge you to watch the full direct if you want to hear more about those, as they do look pretty cool all on their own. Let's begin. Starting off, we have an update coming to Mother Encore. For those who don't know, Mother Encore is a reimagining of Mother 1 that aims to completely recreate the look of the original in a more advanced art style, as well as incorporate tons of quality of life changes. No release date on this one, which is probably for the best considering promising a release date for anything these days can really dash people's hopes if there's a delay. The update to this includes new features like item storage, remappable controls, and new language options, just to name a few. The update itself is out now. A link will be in the description for this, as well as every other game or fan project mentioned. Also, if you're worried that Encore will deviate too much from the original Mother, know that a parallel project called Mother Roots is also in development that will borrow a lot of code from Encore and stick more closely to the original release. Be sure to keep your eye peeled for both. Up next, we have Mother 3.5, a restoration of the original Mother 3 that adds some unused content back into the game. No release date yet. I haven't played Mother 3, though I will be making a video on it eventually. Mother 3 is to RPG Maker games what Genghis Khan is to the world population. Its DNA is in a lot of my favorite games. Trust me, I'll write about it at some point. It's inevitable. Pokemon Sphinx is a Pokemon fan game that takes place in the Mother universe, a surprisingly fitting crossover considering a lot of the weird creatures in the Mother series could probably pass for Pokemon anyway. The portrait art is kind of doing its own thing, not necessarily trying to replicate any authentic look. I can respect it. Pokemon Sphinx will be available on the 24th of September this year. Moving along to indies that are inspired by Earthbound rather than direct fan games, the first title shown looks like a banger. It's called Dreamtone, and I gotta say I am totally down for all the cool games I'm seeing that are inspired by Game Boy Advance aesthetics. I grew up with Superstar Saga and a host of other games on that console, so it's great to see that style echoed in projects releasing today, though the logo does look like it's kind of just half-finished. Whatever, I guess. Dreamtone has been in development since September of 2016, no release date as of yet. Starstruck Hands of Time has that found object and puppet art style that's prevalent in a lot of Christmas specials. Really liking the look of this one, though I have no idea what to expect. Like, there's a strong rhythm game component, but also you can be God and just knock all the action figures this world is composed of over. Either way, this one's coming out on the 16th of September this year. Astral Guard is a turn-based RPG that has an endearing warm color palette as part of its art style. Very western-looking setting that reminds me of Teehee Valley from the first Mario and Luigi. There's even a companion that looks like a combination of a Chocobo and a Koopa, which I'm fine with. According to an old post from the developer, team attacks will be included in the game a la Chrono Trigger. There's also a cooking system where you can combine items, stuff you've probably seen before, but after growing up experimenting with Tasty in the original Paper Mario to get all the recipes, I've come to just love when games have cooking, so it's all good by me. I promise I've played games that aren't just Mario RPGs. I know the comparisons in this video are not helping me. This one comes out fall of this year. Before we talk about my personal favorite titles shown in this direct, let's talk about Dreamed Away, which probably lands in my top 5. Dreamed Away is the first indie game I saw in this presentation that I didn't discover through the direct itself. Visually it's great, and even if the footage shows a somewhat heavy reliance on indie RPG mechanics we've seen in other titles, it looks to be combining them and doing its own thing, which is what Sea of Stars did in regards to Chrono Trigger. So I'll be watching the development of this one with excitement and cautious optimism. At the very least, it's not being made in RPG Maker, which means there's a non-zero chance it can be fun. An update for its demo has just released on Steam, no release date. Okay, so this next one, I don't want to accidentally overhype anything, but I personally thought it was really cool, so before I talk about it, let me just play some of the footage. I love when games just commit really hard to their theme, and Kingdoms of the Dump looks to be doing just that. The trash motif is reinforced everywhere from the giant samurai fly to the littered forest scapes. Even the NPCs you talk to are just objects. There's a knight that's made out of traffic signs and cones. Just God, I love it. Development for this one goes back at least as far as 2016. Originally the sprites had more of a flat color aesthetic, but were eventually updated to a more SNES look. Amazing choice. The shading on the environments in particular are immaculate. Like Undertale's pixel art, this game looks like absolute trash, and I'm totally down for that. Tragically, we will have to wait until next year to play this one. If the developers are watching, find it in your heart to send me a review code. I want to get more eyes on this one. If you want to pull up the Steam page, do not Google garbage game, as that will just take you straight to Amori. Holiday After Special has some real Charlie Brown vibes in the form of its Autumn setting and neighborhood aesthetic. It combines sprites with other visual mediums like claymation. You can even ride around in a shopping cart. Pretty awesome. It's available now on itch.io. Hypersomnia is an Earthbound-like that seems to star a bunch of characters that look like they belong in an FNF mod. There's a real punk undertone to this whole thing, which reminds me of Unbeatable. There looks to be some action-centric moments, which is good for breaking up the turn-based combat in titles like this. The soundtrack sounds awesome, and the developer has been releasing songs for this game as far back as 2022. No release date, but it is available to wishlist on Steam. Alright, this one coming up I wasn't sure about at first. Like, the art seemed off, but as I saw more footage, I was like, alright, that seems cool. This one's called Dog Adventure Harmony, and while the pixel art does look rough at times, the story, combat, and general vibes just seem like they're hitting all the right notes. Unlike other action turn-based RPGs, you'll dodge stuff by doing some side-scrolling platforming. Really neat. Again, no release date, but there is a demo on Steam. The Backworld is probably one of the better-looking games in this entire direct. The fact that it's called The Backworld and has the unknown from that Willy Wonka convention makes me kind of think it's leaning too hard on meme culture and stuff, but from a visual and gameplay perspective, I like what I'm seeing. It seems like you're able to get a first strike on enemies to get an advantage, not unlike the Paper Mario series. The tone of the story looks to oscillate between an everyday school thing and a nightmare thing. Nothing inherently wrong with that. I've just played a ton of indies that already do that very well, so it's going to be a hard sell. Wishing the best of luck to them in that regard. Dodging works in a rather interesting way in this game, at least for the enemies. For example, there's an enemy called a Smiler that will evade your physical attacks, but provided you do something that attacks multiple times, you'll chip away at their dodge stacks until you strike them. Pretty cool in my opinion how dodges are a finite resource the enemy has. No release date yet, but there is a demo on itch.io. Also shoutouts to the developer for incorporating his cat to get attention on his game by using it in the opening seconds of each of his videos.
In my game, The Backworld, one of the basic enemies is called a faceless citizen. In my game, The Backworld, you'll find yourself being stalked by a creepy enemy hiding within the shadows. In my game, The Backworld, one of your companions is named Eli.
Noyami Nights is an interesting one. The world itself looks cool, and I even love the color palette, but some of the art looks like placeholder work. I don't mean to be mean. I apologize. But I do feel it's important to be forward and just provide honest feedback where possible. Maybe that'll get patched in the eventual release. The sprite art itself does look good. Also, I really liked the song that played during its showcase. You can wishlist it on Steam, no release date. Soul Thread has a really cool looking combat system. There's like a tug-of-war style thing going on in the form of this meter towards the middle of the screen. When you attack, it goes right, and vice versa when the enemy attacks. Once again, no release date, but you can wishlist it. The World of Moonchild, I don't know about this one. Immediately commits the cardinal sin of trying too hard to be funny, and it's contrasting that with a dark parallel world thing. As I mentioned earlier, that is a hard thing to pull off considering games like Omori have done that super well already. It looks like combat has a lot of customization at the very least, which is a big plus in my book. I'll keep an eye on this one. Maybe it'll surprise me when the demo releases in August. Fragment has a really cool Baba Is You inspired visual style with a black overlay coating most of the environments. The music featured in the showcase is also pretty nice. This one doesn't come out until winter of 2025, which gives you plenty of time to tell yourself that you'll get through your backlog as it inevitably approaches. Demo is available now on itch.io. This next title had me audibly laughing almost the entire showcase because of the weird look and body language of the characters. Moro's poodle looks like someone took one of the micro games from the WarioWare series and made it into a full game. Virtually nothing on screen at any time is normal. The visuals are definitely rough around the edges in certain moments, with the color palette and combat UIs looking underwhelming in particular. You could argue that's intentional, I guess, with how outlandish the whole thing looks, but still. No release date, a demo is available on itch.io. Purge Party probably lands itself on my top 5 as far as everything shown off in this direct. The pixel art and color palette seem heavily inspired by Star of Providence and Cave Story. The combat even has this cool Tetris thing going on. Going off the Steam page, it advertises itself as an RPG with unlikable characters, a clear homage to Yick. Release date is to be announced. Be sure to wishlist this one and show the devs some support. Wholesome Heart Drawn didn't show me any one design or mechanic to differentiate itself from other games featured here, but based on the combat footage, it does look like it's being developed with care. The main character, Lyra, creates imaginary worlds to escape her real-life issues. I'll spare you the Omori comparisons, hoping they can pull that off. This one's called Connected Fates. The developer actually reached out to me some months ago and even said they're a fan of my channel, which I really appreciate. There's a demo you can try that's about 2 to 3 hours. While I do think the game looks cute and has a lot of promise, it does feel like it's taking a bit too much inspiration from other games, particularly One Shot. I get it, sometimes the story can really move you and you want to pay homage in something you make yourself, but I do believe there is such a thing as overdoing it. Hope that doesn't come off as overly mean or anything. I'm still excited to play this one when it eventually comes out. The demo is on itch.io and Game Jolt. Detective Patch looks like a fun time. At first it doesn't look like it belongs in this presentation at all. It seems to be doing its own thing more than anything else, but the combat has lots of overlap with other titles we've talked about, though they don't show much of it here. Like Undertale, there's a pacifistic way to deal with enemies in the form of the interrogation system, which I take to mean as the dialogue-based route, though probably more aggressive. The overworld changes depending on the decisions you make, and while there are only 3 dungeons, they are massive in size, so that's cool. No release date, but a demo is coming to Steam soon. Hermit and Pig combines the cleaner cartoon aesthetic that's been popular in recent years with a pixelated look. There's an emphasis on mushroom gathering and wacky characters. Combat seems to incorporate button chains, not unlike the combo system in Lisa. According to the game's page on Steam, you'll want to scrounge for truffles and other items often to increase your chances of survival. No release date, demos on Steam. Kyrn, sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right, looks cool but might struggle to grab attention next to other titles it's featured next to. The best thing I can say about it, based on what I've seen, is it looks like the story will take you to a lot of different settings, like some sci-fi places, a fantasy landscape, some modern day locales. The enemy designs look cool too, like this cabinet mimic. Demo's available on Steam, with the full game releasing in October. I wouldn't let this one slip you by. Wishlist it when you can. Astrometa is another game I was contacted about by the developer. You play as an astronaut and like Dog Harmony Adventure, you dodge attacks by platforming. It looks really good actually. Based on the battle screens, the shop vendors, and other footage, gameplay is not an afterthought. There's even meta mechanics that are teased at the very end. Pretty cool. There's a demo out now. The game itself is set to release in 2025. Athenian Rhapsody definitely gets the award for loudest game shown here. Based on the footage, it looks like combat very rarely gets predictable. There's tons of different minigames and UI elements that are just really heavy on the eyes. It's over the top, it's fast, and hopefully it's also fun when it released. Oh, it's already out, and with merch no less. Damn. If you had to rank all of the non-Earthbound fan game titles in this direct on how much they actually pay homage to the Earthbound games, Musa would probably be number 1. It doesn't look to be deviating too far from what Earthbound does, for better or worse, at least on the surface. The pixel art is great, the story looks like it echoes its inspirations well, the combat even has the scrolling numbers. Sure to be some great Earthbound-styled comfort food when it releases at some point in the future. You can try the demo on the game's website, linked in the description. Cricket has a Saturday morning cartoon thing going on. Definitely one of the more visually distinct titles I've seen here. The turn-based combat has a timed hit system, which I always love. There's also team attacks and even triple attacks that you can synergize amongst the 6 playable characters, so you'll probably want to be careful with how you compose your party. If you hate random encounters, do not worry, as there are none in this game. You can play it on Steam when it releases August 15th of this year. Whew! Alright, we've talked about a lot of games, very exhausting, I know. Like me, you probably have a substantial backlog already, so it can be hard to realistically think that you'd have time to play any of these, but Either way, we're almost done, and again, I do encourage you to watch the original direct at some point in the future. For now, let's switch back to the Earthbound stuff they covered before it ended. This next one's a ROM hack called Earthbound Beginnings that aims to feel like an authentic remake, but in the same time period as when Earthbound originally released. Neat premise, like it's trying to be a retroly authentic remake. Cool. This fan game is just called Mother 3, but briefly glancing at the footage, it's obvious where it differs from the original. Your eyes do not deceive you. This is an N64-styled remake of the original Mother 3. Fans are running absolute circles around Nintendo. Not only do we have a fan translation, but we have multiple remakes or expansions being developed by Western players. Awesome. No release date, unfortunately. Up next, we have a game from none other than the host of the Direct himself, which is fine. He's earned this plug as I imagine he helped put a lot of this together, and he just spent the last hour promoting other people's projects, so no complaints from me there. His game looks good though. It's called Mnemonic. It looks like it's made entirely with watercolor illustrations. Genuinely haven't seen that style since Child of Light years ago. Love it. It's described as an action, turn-based game with projectiles and way too many sundials. Whatever that means. Combat looks to take place on a 3-laned grid, and to my excitement, you can customize your loadout with multiple projectiles and passive effects. Pretty sweet. They even got Shogo Sakai of Mother 3 and Smash Brothers fame to do some guest tracks. Congrats on securing that one. Pretty awesome. Up next was one of the most impressive things I saw in the entire presentation, a really good remake of Mother 2. I know there's other stuff we've talked about in this video that are remake adjacent, but seriously, this one in particular looks really nice. Good pillow shading on the sprites, quality of life changes, like a revised PSI menu and the ability to buy in bulk. Honestly, I'm tempted to just wait for this to come out before I play Earthbound and just play this as my first exposure, though I know that sounds like sacrilege to some of you. The final project shown off in this direct is basically a creative mode for Earthbound. You can sequence break, change the palette color of areas, warp between levels, and most importantly, bike anywhere. Something like this came out for Paper Mario 64 years ago. Always great to see modding tools like this enhance our favorite games and give us a reason to revisit them. Thanks again for watching. I talk about RPG Maker and RPG Maker-like games all the time. Subscribe, check out the games in the description. Appreciate you. Booba.